The night my sister's voice disappeared, the world did not stop. That was the cruelest part. Phones still rang, traffic lights still changed, and people still laughed in cafes, while the one person who never accepted silence was swallowed by it. My sister had been loud in the way only truth can be: sharp, inconvenient, impossible to ignore. When she vanished from public life overnight, when her articles were wiped, her interviews erased, and her name quietly removed from panels and records, everyone called it burnout. Everyone except me. I knew the stillness around her wasn't natural, it was engineered. And silence, when imposed by force, always leaves fingerprints. The first warnings came disguised as concern. A former colleague called me late one evening, lowering his voice as if the walls were listening. He told me to stop asking questions, to stop digging into who had threatened her funding, who had pulled her protection, who had suddenly branded her unstable. Another message arrived days later, anonymous and brief. "You're not as protected as you think." That was when I understood the reach of the empire that had silenced her. This wasn't one powerful enemy. It was a network, corporate, political, legal, intertwined so tightly that it no longer needed to shout to be obeyed. That night, sitting alone with my sister's unanswered messages glowing on my phone, I made a promise that terrified even me. I would uncover everything, and I would not stop until their silence became noise. Getting inside their world required patience, not rage. I learned quickly that empires don't fall to fists, they fall to access. I reshaped myself into someone useful, harmless, forgettable. I attended the conferences she had once been banned from, laughed at the same jokes, echoed the same hollow rhetoric. I volunteered for committees, accepted favors, and let them believe I was grateful. Doors opened slowly, then all at once. I found myself sitting in rooms my sister had warned me about, rooms where decisions were made with smiles and destroyed lives were called collateral. Every handshake felt like betrayal, but every detail I collected became ammunition. As the structure revealed itself, so did the architects. The empire was not led by one villain, but a council of cowards, executives who hid behind legal language, media figures who traded integrity for access, and advocates who publicly praised justice while privately signing orders that crushed dissent. The most devastating discovery was not their power, but their proximity. Someone my sister trusted had fed her vulnerabilities, reframed her courage as instability, and handed them the justification they needed to erase her. Her silencing wasn't accidental, it was profitable. She threatened a narrative they sold for billions. I didn't attack them head on. I watched, I waited. Empires rot from the inside, and this one was already cracking. Rivalries simmered beneath their polished unity, competing interests, secret resentments, egos too large to coexist forever. I leaked nothing at first. Instead, I nudged. A document here, a reminder there. I ensured the left hand learned what the right hand was hiding. Financial discrepancies surfaced, communications went missing at critical moments, trust evaporated. They began turning on one another, accusing, panicking, scrambling to secure their own exits while pretending everything was under control. When the time came, it was surgical. Their financial pipelines were exposed through lawful audits they could not obstruct without implicating themselves. Their private communications, preserved and verified, reached journalists who still remembered why they chose that profession. The exposé did not scream, it documented names, dates, signatures, consequences. The public reaction was not instant outrage, it was worse. It was belief. Sponsors withdrew, boards dissolved, investigations multiplied. The empire that had relied on quiet obedience collapsed under the weight of its own recorded words. In the aftermath, I found my sister again, not alive, but alive in truth. Hidden journals surfaced, voice recordings saved on obsolete devices, drafts of work she never got to publish. Her voice, once buried, returned stronger because it could no longer be erased. I established a foundation in her name, not as a monument, but as a shield. Legal aid for whistleblowers, funding for silenced journalists, protection for voices labeled dangerous simply because they refused to lie. Her legacy became a warning and a promise. Justice, I learned, is not clean. It costs sleep, relationships, and the comfort of believing the world is fair. There were moments I wondered if dismantling the empire had dismantled parts of me too. But healing does not mean forgetting. It means choosing what the pain builds instead of what it destroys. I no longer chase vengeance. I guard against repetition. I speak when silence is convenient. I protect others the way I could not protect her. They tried to erase my sister. Instead, they taught me how fragile empires really are and how powerful a single unburied truth can be.